freaking me out sitting here. I call myself King Princess because when I was young and working in the studio and developing my confidence, we kind of had like a moment. We had a joke, an inside joke that was like, today's a King Princess day.
Okay.
And it was like a joke. It was just a vibe in the studio. And then years later, I was like, they were like, what do you want to call yourself? And I was like, Michaela Strauss sounds a little...
Like a lot?
Sounds like a Jewish academic. It's like too much. I was like, I don't know. So we fucking, I was like, oh, I have this name, King Princess, and I talked to my girls, and they were like, you should probably just call yourself King Princess. And I was like, is that kind of stupid? And they were like, nah. And I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. So I already thought of it, but it's kind of like, it represents my gender, it represents my sexuality, it represents my personality. So I really like it. Yeah. Growing up in Brooklyn, it was interesting because I went to school in the city my whole life, and then I went home to Brooklyn, and like all the fucking private school kids like wouldn't go to Brooklyn. So it was kind of cool because I felt so isolated, but in a good way. Like I would go home and I could work on music and I could be alone in a way that I feel like most people couldn't, because being in Manhattan around all the kids we went to school with, it was just like constantly inundated with like social shit. And I was kind of like, nah. And I went to Brooklyn and I would sit in my dad's studio and just like work on music. So it influenced my confidence and my sound and my work ethic. I learned there's a lot of bullshit. You gotta push through it to find some good stuff.
Okay.
Like it's a really crazy city because there's so many people doing music. And it's like you have to choose your community and the people you want to work with, because it's really easy to just start like getting into that like whole scene, like the music scene, and just working with a fucking 1,000 people and getting really confused and like hearing everyone's opinions. And so it makes you selective. It makes you selective about your community. And it's also just cheaper to live there. Like if you're a young person, I have like a great apartment that I love that like it just would not exist in New York.
No,
like
I used to live in New York and nobody did.
You just can't. Like you just simply cannot have a nice apartment and be a young person in New York.
No, you just can't do that.
Unless you have rich parents, which I did not have. So
exactly. So
I didn't have the guap. Papa Mark and I met because he heard my EP, and he was really into it, and so we had dinner. Called my managers. He was like, I'd love to meet her, and I was like, it's like when Mark Ronson calls your managers and says he wants to have dinner with you. It's not really like, you're not like, I was so hyped, and we met, we had dinner, we had a great dinner, we talked shit for a couple hours, had some drinks, chilled out. He asked me a bunch of really fucking insightful questions about my life. Like he was so interested in like learning about me and being a collaborator and a friend and a mentor. And after that, I was like, yeah, this makes sense. Like if I'm gonna sign my shit away to somebody, I think I'd like it to be somebody I really enjoy.
And who better than Mark Ronson? Well,
it's rare that as an artist you get the opportunity to work on a collaborative level with the person who's also the president of your label. Yeah. Right? So it's like, I had the opportunity and the luxury of spending time with him and getting to know him, and then working with him in a business capacity, and it's really the best decision. Yeah. Best decision I made for sure. I grew up listening to like Jimmy Page and Hendrix and fucking learning guitar riffs, listening to Jack White, and all I wanted to be when I was a kid was a rock god. I wanted to be like a sexy guitar man, and I was like, wait. I was like, I might be a woman. And I really I had such a great time as a kid, just like sitting in my room with a guitar and like plugging shit in, and like I was one of those kids who would just learn everything about the history of guitars. I was really nerdy about it, and then I lost it for a couple years. I completely turned my back on guitar, because you get to an age, especially as a young woman, where you've got all these dudes, I just said this in another interview, but you get all these dudes who think they're the best, and they fucking suck, but they have the confidence of white men, you know? So I always say, like, if you can be a woman with the confidence of a white man who plays guitar, you're chilling.
That's deep.
You'll be the best guitar player in the world.
You know.
You just have to get that same confidence. Like, every shitty guitar player is just like,
exactly, giving everything they got.
Yeah, so now I'm really enjoying it. Like, I enjoy it again, and I play on all my records. I play all the guitar parts, except for a couple that I have my homies do, because I'm like, I'm
not there yet.
I'm not there yet. And I play live, and I write on guitar. It's honestly, it's fantastic to play guitar, to get free guitars. I produce all this stuff too, so I think for me, it's like sometimes it starts with me on my laptop just making something or recording, or usually I start with music and then I write lyrics and melodies after. And I think it really depends on the song. I feel like the ones that have connected the most were just like random, like just I had an idea and I sat down and I executed it, and then, you know, for 1950, like I was in the shower.
I heard about this.
I was in the shower and I was like singing that melody, and I was like, oh, that's so good. And then I was like naked, and I like ran out and like grabbed my guitar, and I was like, went over to my roommate and I was like, can I borrow your phone? She's like, you're naked. And I was like, I'm sorry. I just need your phone really quick. I have an idea for a hit song. Like, can you please? And I recorded it, and then I wrote half of it and I demoed it out on my computer, and then I sent it over to my friend Nick, who I write pretty much everything with. And I was just like, hey, you want to finish this with me? Like, I've got like the you know, the general idea, but I feel like you could be really great on it. And he was like, fuck yeah, this is amazing. And so we went in and we finished it in like 20-30 minutes. And it was like the second session we ever had. Now we're like really close friends, but at that point it was the second session we had ever had.
That build a relationship.
Oh my God, I mean, like, to have a song like that with somebody is just like, it really creates a bond.
And especially the song 1950, which is a very honest song.
I feel like it's honest, and it's also like, it's really, I feel like there was so much love in the room. Like, when me and my engineer Mike and Nick made it, it was like, you know, it's like, it's sick when you're the whole time you're just like, this bumps. You know what I mean? You're in the room and you're just like, this shit fucking bumps. And I feel so lucky that was like the one people connected to, especially because I'm just like, it was always my favorite. Yeah, it's like, I think I read a lot of gay books in high school, but that was the one that I feel like I connected to the most, because it for me at least, I read that book and I'm like, it was written in 1952, but it has maybe one of the most honest representations of queer love, or just love in general, of any book I've read. So I really love the concept of how queer love would exist in public spaces, but really be a private occurrence. You know what I mean? Like, people would be gay, but they would hide it in public, and then you would have to kind of like, you know, fuck your girlfriend or make out with your girlfriend in private. And I think that I connected to that because it's not a concept that's lost now. People hide themselves and feel uncomfortable in public spaces because they're gay, and I think it's a universal concept that queer people feel, that there's always these encounters that feel like they're affected by the environment of our world, and politics. So I was really taken aback by that book. I was just like, holy shit, like, I remember reading it in high school, and I didn't go to school for like 5 days. I was like, I'm taking some personal days. This is very emotional. I actually have not read that James Baldwin. It's like one, you know, there are those texts that like exist in our history but aren't taught in schools. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's up to queer kids to go find those books, because you're not. I mean, I don't know what it's like in France, but in the U.S. we're not reading gay books. They're not giving us gay texts to read. They're just like, fuck you, please read like fucking J.D. Salinger and like pretend you're a white dude. I'm just like, I'm not. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, holy shit. I think that, like, I just had no idea. I went on my Twitter and I was like, the fuck is going on here? All these fucking gay teenagers are following me all of a sudden, because I was like, what just happened? Like, who just tweeted me, or like what? And I looked at the tags and I saw the tweet and I was like, this homeboy, like, he just tweeted the lyrics. Like, he didn't even throw me a tag. I was like, that's iconic. That's a power play. It was really great. And then after that, I DM'd him and thanked him and stuff, because I was just like, dude, this is fucking fantastic. Like, you just did a massive favor for a young person in this industry. And I think it's representative of a larger theme, which is there is support and camaraderie in music, and that I'm an example of somebody who has really thrived off of the like love from other artists, like people just being like, I fuck with you, like I'm gonna do you a favor and like tweet your shit. Like, that's so lovely that we exist in a world where other artists like have the opportunity to like just put people on to young people, you know. And I was just so flattered. Also, I was just like, you know, I've said this before, but I was like, yo, he's into some gay shit. Like, I love that. Like, I love a dude who's just like, damn, this tiny lesbian wrote this song, and I love it. Well, that's what's so lovely, is I think we're taking the first steps into, you know, getting past just like the initial, like, these are queer artists and these are just like really talented people. Yeah. And I think that we're not there yet, so there's still like a level of you have to be like, no, I am gay and this is like what I'm writing about, because we're not like at a level where you can just write about your gay shit and have people, you know, connect to it on music alone.
But could it be so simple to be like, yo, that's a talented people?
I mean, we're getting there. I think that it's going to take a couple more years to get there, but it's really iconic that it's starting. Oh, fuck.
Hey, it's a tough one.
That's a really tough one. I don't know. I guess I would say it's probably being in the studio with my dad's studio, which was in my house.
Okay.
And sitting on the couch while people were working. My dad's a recording engineer, so he was making whatever the fuck people wanted to pay for. You know what I mean? But he, you know, bands would come in and they'd sleep on the couch, you know, and you know, get fucking hammered and then pass out and like basically stay in the studio because the labels weren't paying for hotels for them. And I'd come in as a little kid and like wake them up and be like, what's up, let's fucking play fucking soccer in the studio and shit. Like, and I think that those were the people who made me want to be a musician, because they were so kind to me. They were so kind to me. They were always down to teach me guitar parts and like, you know, shoot the shit and hang out with a little kid who like hung out in the studio all day, you know? You know, I'm a big fan. Well, for me it was like when I was in high school, when I was in middle school, and she would drop videos, I'd wait up at night to watch them. And like, I think that she was, for me, the first person in pop who I felt was doing something so tremendously different from everybody else. She wasn't afraid to be weird. She wasn't afraid to be, you know, and obviously like she's, I would say, the Madonna of my generation, in that she, you know, it was all about the art and it was all about the image, but in a way where it was going so against the mainstream of pop, which was like pretty girls. And I think that she didn't give a fuck about that. She wanted to be different. She wanted to make art and wear crazy shit and like put out good music. And I really connected to that. And then on top of it, she's a queer icon. Okay. She's an honorary queer icon. She is the queen of the gays. Okay. Like when I saw her on my birthday, girl, crying, sobbing.
As a concert?
Yeah, high out of my mind, just sobbing, just sobbing. Because it's like, you know, I saw her when I was 13. In New Jersey. My mom bought me tickets. I went. It was Monster Ball tour. And then I saw her on my fucking 19th birthday. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a full circle. And it felt exactly the same for some reason. Like, it felt like the same experience. Yeah. And it was just so... I think she's amazing. I think she's such a badass. I can't even say enough about her. She was also so nice to me when I met her. I was just like, yo, bitch, like, you just made my fucking day. Like, you just made my life. Thank you so much.